Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today we're going to be doing a weapon review on the Ace 52 carbine. Now this is a very interesting carbine because it has a unique damage model. It's also banned from ESL tournaments. Now we'll get into that later, what the reason behind the ban is, because by no means do I think this weapon is overpowered. It just works in a very interesting way. The thing that sets the Ace 52 apart from the other carbines is that it has a 34 maximum damage, where all other carbines have a 25 maximum damage. This means it's going to be a 3-shot kill in close quarters. That's approximately 8 meters or closer, and when you start to drop off to the maximum range, it only does 20 damage, which is still about 5 damage more than your average carbine, which drops off all the way to 15.4. So at all ranges, you're going to be doing more damage per shot. Now what's extra cool about this is that normally when you have a gun with this damage model, like the Scar H for assault rifles, the magazine is capped at a lower capacity, like 20 rounds per mag. Well, this one actually has 25 rounds per mag and one in the chamber. What does this mean? Well, it means that the Ace 52 technically has more potential damage per magazine than your average carbine or even your average assault rifle for that matter. This comes in handy when you need to deal with multiple threats. A fast killing gun is great when you need to deal with one target, but what about dealing with multiple targets? What if you shoot too many bullets killing the first guy, now you don't have enough left over? That's where the Ace 52 really does excel. And of course, at first glance you might not think that because it does have that 25 round magazine. You just gotta remember that you're doing 34 max, which is a 3-shot kill. 68 to the head is pretty darn impressive for the DPS it can do in close quarters with the amount of ammo you're going to have left over. Now the rate of fire is definitely on the lower side at 650 rounds per minute, but don't let that fool you. Because it does 34 damage maximum, it's actually one of the highest damage per second carbines available, and it certainly does require a little bit more precision to be effective with this gun, although you can see there I just sort of sprayed hipfire and it seemed to work out nonetheless. And speaking of hipfire, let's take a look at the Simthic stats and see what we got to work with. 2.0 hipfire, not all that bad considering that most PDWs have the best hipfire in the game, and the average PDW has a 1.0 hipfire. So this has half the accuracy of your PDW to begin with, but if you put a laser sight on there, you could actually be fairly effective with this in close quarters shooting from the hip, and that's not a bad idea, especially considering the rate of fire. Sometimes you're not going to have the DPS to outgun somebody in close range, so you're going to need to rely on getting the first shot off. Now this gun kind of takes the place of the Scar H from Battlefield 3. If anybody remembers that, it was actually a carbine weapon available for the engineer class only, and it had that 34 damage maximum. Unfortunately though, we have a very low bullet velocity on the Ace 52, 400 meters per second. Really not going to be fast enough to engage people at extreme long ranges. So sadly, this gun is really going to be at its maximum potential in more medium range combat. Now you can try and take out stationary targets at range, but if they're running around being evasive, it's going to be very hard to take them down. The gun has a 2.2 second reload, which is certainly on the faster side of things. It's not going to blow anybody's mind, but it's still pretty darn good, especially if you need to reload in close quarter combat. The recoil is where things get tricky, and that's where you might want to consider what you attach to this weapon. It has a 0.45 vertical recoil. Now because the rate of fire is only 650, you're going to be experiencing this recoil kickback far less than you would with higher rate of fire weapons, but it's still pretty substantial, especially when your first shot recoil multiplier is 2.3 and then you have a vertical recoil of 0.45. That's going to be some pretty serious kick on your first shot, so you may want to think about angled grip, you may want to think about a muzzle brake. Now at the end of the day, I decided to risk it without using any sort of vertical recoil compensation and just using a stubby grip, and I was able to maintain pretty darn good accuracy, but then again, it really depends on your level of recoil control. Now I often say things that really are common sense on this channel, and that shouldn't surprise you, especially when I say it's very important to land all your shots with the Ace 52. Obviously it's important to land your shots with any gun, but especially the Ace 52, because in order to maintain its higher DPS, you really have to make sure each one of your shots are landing. Otherwise you're going to fall behind in the DPS game and essentially lose your firefights. The ideal engagement range for this weapon is medium range. You want to have a target that's running towards you, away from you, probably not side by side. aim down sights, and really make your shots count. Not because this gun doesn't have enough ammo to deal with your opponents, but because when you shoot slowly, like at 650 meters per second, if you start missing a shot or two in there, somebody with a gun that just spits out bullets is going to have a much easier time landing hits in close quarters, throwing you off and taking you down. Now, I mentioned earlier in this video that this gun and the Scar H is banned in the ESL. Now, the similarities between this and the Scar H is that they're both assault rifles that do 34 damage maximum. They have full auto fire capabilities, and the reason why they're banned is because they have the ability to kill players extremely fast, and just because of the way the netcode works, it will seem like you're getting one shot killed. So in a competitive environment, when you're trying to anticipate where your enemies are, if you get shot, you won't have enough time to actually duck behind cover when you get shot by the Scar H. And it's not because it's overpowered, it's just because of the combination of netcode and the higher damage model. You don't have enough time to react, and it really does take out some of the tactics and reactionary tactics from a competitive match. I mean, it takes out the tactics from the normal multiplayer game as well, and that's something that I certainly miss from Battlefield 3, is peeking out from a corner, getting shot and going, oh crap, I can't go this way, ducking back behind cover. That's something that I could do all the time in Battlefield 3. In Battlefield 4, it's a rare situation where I start taking shots and then duck for cover and somehow make it behind there. So if you actually want to be that player who's shooting people and making them go, hey, this guy's hacking, or he just one-shot killed me, and make them rage, well, I hate to say it, but the Ace 52 and the Scar H are the guns that do that. Now, if you're trying to think of a reason why you might want to use the Ace 52, think about, are you a player that likes to be precise with your shots? Do you like to try and take out players from a range rather than getting up close and personal? If the answer is yes, then the Ace 52 is certainly going to work out better for you. It's not really designed for that close quarter combat, but at the same time, I will say I had really good results when I did use a laser sight on this and hip fired a bit in close quarters. I mean, it's not going to be an amazing gun, but in a pinch, it can certainly hold its own, so don't underestimate it in any situation. Some things I would try and avoid while using this weapon is attaching things like the heavy barrel. It seems like it might be a good match for it, making the gun extra accurate and stuff like that, but it just adds way too much to the vertical recoil. And having a really low rate of fire and high vertical recoil makes the gun very difficult to control and be precise with when using in full auto. Overall, that pretty much wraps it up for my review on the Ace 52 carbine. It's a fun gun. It may really agree with your playstyle. I apologize for the sound of my voice. I've been really fighting a cold here and trying to get videos out on time. We may see a few slowdowns this week. It's been really tough trying to do gameplay and voiceover with this cold. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.